Welcome to the Vertical Cafe podcast, where community connects through coffee and conversation. Welcome to the Vertical Podcast, James. We're glad to have you here. This is Rod to my left, as you all know.
Cheers.
I'm Ian Campbell, and this is James Cummins, our guest today.
Let me just say, the man, the myth, and the legend, the New York Chips hero.
Yeah, I have to talk about my boss again. That'll make me smile.
Yes.
Put me in a good mood.
And we have James here today to talk about lots of different things. He's a well-traveled man, and we're excited to have you here. So first things first, James.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that Super Bowl?
Yeah, that was fun. I didn't expect it. I tend to believe that sometimes stuff's a little scripted, or planned. And I just thought they were winning 3. I really did. I thought it was in the books that they would win 3. They could put them up there with the Patriots. That was their claim to fame. And somebody forgot to tell the Eagles.
Yeah,
because they came to play.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not often that you see. I watch a lot of football, the way they handle Patrick Mahomes. I mean, and the thing is, I just heard on the radio a little while ago that they didn't blitz until late in the fourth quarter. So all that in that first 3 quarters, all over them, that was no blitzing. That was just the talent the Eagles have on defense. Their defensive line they came to play. Barkley, I don't think he had over 100 yards. He didn't score. Hurts had a couple nice passes, but the main thing was they shut Mahomes down. Yeah. So Bills, I hope you're watching that, Brandon Beane and McDermott. Right, go get us a big stud next out at Oliver. And
who's out there? Who just went?
Well,
who's asking for
Miles
a trade?
Garrett's the one asking for the trade at defensive end.
But
I'm talking, you get somebody inside because that Carter kid from the Eagles, that's where it's coming inside. Mm-hmm. But again, you get Miles Garrett, you can go draft a kid, a big kid.
How do you feel about that?
I think it's happening. I don't want to say Miles Garrett. But I think a splash is coming like Diggs a couple of years ago on defense. Okay, we saw what Patrick Mahomes did and what Josh Allen did this year with his receiving weapons. I'm not saying they won't go get a number 1 receiver, but I don't think Josh needs it. We need to do exactly what the Eagles did last night to beat Mahomes. If next year, if that means that they're still there and we got to go through them or they got to come here, that's how we got to beat Patrick Mahomes. We know now how. So I think you'll see some, maybe a safety, a corner, defensive tackle, defensive end. I think that's going to be important on this team this offseason. Yes.
Speaking of scripted, after that first call of the game,
I know.
Everybody was commenting, throwing the flags.
Yeah. And it's funny when you hear Tom Brady, right? He's an ex-player that he used to cry to the refs all the time, and you hear him say, "Oh, that looks like." No, you got to let him play at this level, at this game, at this, and then the ref comes in and says the same thing. But again, I mean, right? That's what we thought, right? Deja vu. I'm not one for the refs. I'm not. I see it, but we'll go back to the Bills game last week. As a Bills fan, we had the ball with 3 minutes and 33 seconds left in Josh's hand in Kansas City to go down and score a touchdown and win that game and go to the AFC or go to the Super Bowl. And as a fan, that's what you want, and they failed. You can look back and I know the couple ones the calls that happened, but that's the thing, you can't give Mahomes chances. I mean, I'll be honest, the one last night they did the first time they did the push tush, and they made it look easy, right? And I'm like, how can we get a first down and not have to worry about dealing with the line and dealing with the referees? Just get 2 yards and we're good.
I don't know what Josh squats, but I do know that Hurts squats 500 pounds. So I have to imagine that's part of why they're so good at that.
I think he's and the thing is too,
he's smaller than his offensive line. Maybe
look who pushes him, right? Dawson Knox needs to be pushing Josh, not Ty Johnson, right? And that's the other thing that my friends and I discussed that we had forgotten about, like. Have somebody big pushing Josh, we all know Josh he's a stud, but have that little bit of weight behind him instead of the third string running back.
Yeah.
So, but I was home by myself, which is probably the first time in a long time. We'll get into. I am sick, battling cancer, but I was home by myself, and it was nice. I got to see the commercials. There were some good ones. The halftime show, it's not my thing. I don't understand.
What exactly were we watching?
Well, the thing is, what I've learned, okay, because I went on TikTok last night, and it's that new thing, I don't want to judge right away. They said you have to understand who Kendrick Lamar is as a rapper, that's his show last night. His lyrics, his antics, okay, fine. It's not my thing. The only reason I knew 2 of the songs was because my son would crank them when he'd listen to that stuff. But here's my problem, right? It's the Super Bowl, the most watched thing of the year. Why are we putting someone out there that exactly what Rod just said, right? What did we watch? Who was that? What do you mean you have to understand this is the Super Bowl. Put an icon out there that everybody knows. Whether you like the music or not, you know that person, right? Boom, there they are. I'm a big Metallica fan. I've said for years I don't understand. Now, I don't know if you guys are aware of this or not, but the acts do not get paid. That's why a lot of acts won't do it. They don't get paid. It's free. So what they'll do is if they're dropping a big concert, if they're touring or an album, they'll go on and do it. But they don't get free. So that Taylor Swift won't do it. Who's the other one that said he'll never do it either? Who was it? No, it wasn't the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Somebody else come out and said it. But that's my problem. Nothing against Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah.
He's got a huge fan base. But let's not put him out there for the Super Bowl for people who don't know who he was.
Yeah. Feels like the NFL might be able to afford an act, like pay him.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
So now the season's over. Football's over.
That's it.
We'll watch a little XFL, I suppose. But
how about Daytona 500? You into the racing next week?
I'm not. I will get into like a race pool and I'll watch that race because it's fun. What are the races the night before? Right? That was always kind of good too. The crashing, or is that already done? I don't even know. I'm not a huge NASCAR fan, but I know they do it opposite, right? They put their Super Bowl racing first. So, I'll watch it. I'll get in some kind of pool and have a couple drivers. I'll watch them crash and take a nap, wake up, watch the race.
Sounds about right.
That's how I've done it. Yeah.
We're always looking for the crash, man.
Yeah.
That's why we watch NASCAR.
So, no, we'll just, with me, I'm obviously a big Bills fan that, we'll take a little break here. We'll get into the draft season.
Well, you can't tell.
No, this is my
clothing.
Shirt,
the hat.
These are my
pants.
The pants are Bills.
The velvet red from the 80s, yes.
We'll get into the draft and then the off season, and then before we know it, training camp will be starting again. So not that I'm looking forward to. I am. I'm sick of this weather. I will say that.
Yeah.
But no, I'm. I don't want to say disappointed in the Bills season because I think at the beginning of the year. All these people were saying a down year. We lost all these people. Listen, as long as you got Josh Allen, we're going to win football games.
Yeah,
plain and simple.
But he can only carry us so many years.
Yep.
So, So do you think that they need to get an old D-line, defensive back? They need to focus on the defense.
Yeah, because you got DeMar Hamlin's been a great story, but I think maybe his time is up here. Cornerback, we saw it in the championship. Benford got hurt. Elam come in. Elam looked lost. It's time to cut our ways with him and draft. The cornerback can be drafted in the first, second round, and can come in and compete. I just think, I think ideally if they go after Myles Garrett, there's your big splash. You draft a defensive tackle. We drafted one last year, DeJuan Carter, and he'll be better this year. Mm-hmm. So to have him with Ed Oliver and then draft another one, either the first or second round with the corner. And also, we're going to have quite a bit of money with all these contracts. They're friendly. If I got the friend that does all the money with the contracts and stuff, and so we're going to have money to spend. So that's good. That's good. That's good to know that no one's off limits. Whether it's a free agent, a trade, we can draft our guys knowing we can sign them.
Yeah.
Hypothetically speaking, if the Bills get into the Super Bowl next year, are you going?
No.
Okay.
I was fortunate years ago to go to all 4 of them. I bought season tickets in 1988. It was actually my Little League coaches, Dave and Rick McGuire, and they used to do a thing called pick a seat, and they would sometimes have a practice, but sometimes just open to the public. And if there wasn't a sticker on the seat, you could buy it. And they sat in the front row in the 20-yard line on the opposite team's bench. And a ticket was available right next to them. I was seat 3. They were seat 4 and 5. So they bought it. That started my run of 11 years. That was the first time I ever had season tickets. I'd gone to games before then, but became a season ticket holder in 88 and stayed with them through 99. I moved away in 2000 to Virginia, so I gave them up at that point. But talk about, Dave, rest in peace. He lost his battle of cancer a couple years ago, but when the 3 of us would get together, we would say we should have wrote a book of how we got to each Super Bowl. Dave and Rick became friends with Mr. Wilson. And when I say friends, they were legitimately friends with Mr. Wilson. They had his phone number. Back then there was no cell phone. So they had his office number in Detroit, and they had the office number in Buffalo. If we need anything from Ralph, leading up to the Super Bowl, I went to Cincinnati for the AFC Championship game in '88, and I went to the Cleveland game. I tell you what, I've been to, honestly, I need to get my map back out, but I've been to almost every stadium, pretty much. There's a few I know I haven't been to. Cleveland fans are the worst. So that was the Ronnie Harmon dropped the ball. We're trying to get back to our car, and these guys are legitimately barking at us, chewing on dog bones, and pretending to pull their pants down and lift their leg to pee on us because the dog pound. And I thought to myself, and these were all grown men. I mean, I was just I was 19 at the time when we went, but I'm like, what's going on? Like, what, so, so after the Raiders game, we win the AFC championship game that year, 51-3. Mr. Wilson comes out and, he sees us standing there, and he stops, comes over to where we were, opens the door. He'd met Dave and Rick at Tampa. He's like, Tampa, we're going to the Super Bowl. Can you believe this? And it's in Tampa. He's like, you got to be there. He's like, oh, we didn't win the lottery for tickets. And he's like, call the receptionist. We'll have tickets for you Monday or Wednesday. And turned around, and we're standing with other people. Did he just say we had tickets to the Super Bowl? Sure enough. Called the receptionist. There they were. We get to this, we drove. We got my dad's Astro van, and we drove to Florida and stayed with his dad, their father. And we get to our seats, and we are on the 40-yard line, about 30 rows up, sitting with all the other, it's the family members of the Bills. Mayor Jimmy Griffin's there, other people. It was just wild, just, and I took it in as a 20-year-old kid, and the thing was that, that Super Bowl when it happened was the first time it ever came down to a field goal kick, which we all know what happened. But, as a fan, you don't think we're going back the next year. So we go through the season. We're in the same predicament. We're going to the Super Bowl. Ralph gets us tickets again. This time, I actually had a CB in my car. My mom calls me on the CB and says, hey, Dave just called. He got the tickets. So I go over and I'm looking. He's like, oh, not as good as last year, buddy. They're up higher. So I'm looking in the upper deck, and long story short, he gave us tickets. When I say on the 50-yard line, I was on the 50-yard line watching Harry Connick Jr. sing the national anthem in front of me. And we had celebrities. We had the kids from 90210, I think it was Luke Perry and Jason Priestley, Donald Trump and his wife were right behind me. The USFL was there, the owners, the players. It was, I dressed when I went to games. I had the Zubas on. I had my face half red, half blue. I had a pom-pom in my head for my hair, and I had a flag as my cape. So here I am sitting down there on the 50-yard line, and some guy comes down and says, oh, let me guess, did you win a fan contest? Yeah. No, we got the tickets through the owner. But they came down to make sure we were there because those were, and then the next year we go. That's the greatest comeback. I think if people know me, we made a sign. Dave actually made it at halftime. It says, I don't hear any fat ladies singing yet. And that made us famous. We've been on every highlight film back then. So we were on ESPN, primetime, inside the NFL. We were they showed us on the broadcast of the next game after they showed us every year. My friends send it to me. It's just picked the one sign up and went with it, and we made us famous.
What was it again?
I said, I don't hear any fat ladies singing yet. He had taken his original sign at halftime. And back then, he could walk in the stadium with a switchblade. So he took his blade and cut it out and made the sign at halftime. And Oilers come out, pick the ball off, and score. And then it's funny because I watched primetime. The anniversary is like January 3rd. And I'm like, every year, the one with Chris Byrne from primetime, he's like, right after that play, right? All of a sudden, they panned us, and you can see us just clear as day. And he's like, some of the fans don't think so. And he's like, I don't know if I want to hear the fat lady sing, And so
that was a good Boomer impression right there.
Thank you. A lot of times I watch in prime time. Yeah. Pasadena happens. We don't think we're going. How are we getting there? And we get the tickets. They gave us 5 because my cousin lived in Arizona at the time. So he had his roommate work for airlines, not in business anymore. We drove from here to Columbus, got on a plane to Arizona, hopped in a van to LA to get out there. It was in Pasadena. And Saturday night I went out I found a bar and I'm peeking outside. The guy's like $20 cover charge. I was like, oh man, I want to take this all in but $20. And then all of a sudden I saw the Dallas cheerleaders go by. I'm in. So I went in, and thank God I went in because it was the Dallas cheerleaders, it was the Bills cheerleaders, which I had gotten to know the girls, some of them because we had tickets in the front row, so they recognized my face just from no other exchange of just high fives, and celebrities galore. Now you see, and that was 30 years ago. How big these Super Bowl parties are now. I mean, I just woke up the next morning like probably had a few too many drinks, but let's go win the Super Bowl. And so we get to the game. We go in, and there was a guy. It was the guy that got us the airline tickets. It was his friend. He brought him along, telling me he had a ticket. So this guy rented us the hotels and got us the van and drove us out there, and there was no ticket for him. That was
brutal.
And then the guy from the airline, he bounced his check to my buddy. So of course we don't get back to New York. Back then you really didn't do much. You did everything with check. This was my cousin's roommate we thought we could trust, and he bounced the check.
Oh boy.
For his ticket. So yeah, and then the last one we just rented a van and drove to Atlanta because it was in Atlanta. Ralph actually gave us those tickets for free. He made us come up and meet him, and he knew me as a big guy. He's like, you guys are some of the biggest fans. You're always here after every game, And he's like, this is just I want you to be there when we win, and we didn't. And I unfortunately had 4 years of frustration. Some Cowboys fan jumped in front of me on the way out and yelled, "How about them Cowboys?" And I punched him in the face.
I feel like that's the appropriate ending to 4 years of four Super
His
Bowl
buddy said,
losses.
"What'd you do that for?" I'm like, "Well, he jumped in my face. That's 4 years of losing Super Bowls, and hey, don't jump in my face. Let me get to my van so I can drive back to New York and be miserable."
Yeah, he got the wide right home.
But nevertheless, you must have been in your glory, a young man.
Oh yeah,
19 to 22 years old, right?
Yeah,
going to the Super Bowls, loving the Bills.
And
what a
the
dream!
Thing is that like I tell my friends, right? We never lost in the playoffs up here. So when we started this journey, 88 we were on the road, 89 we were on the road. Well, then we come home, we win both games. In 90, 91, 92, we had to go to Pittsburgh. So we beat Houston in the comeback game. We have to go to Pittsburgh, which we went. Me and my buddies went. We beat Pittsburgh. Then we had to go to Miami and beat that game. And then we won them in the next year. So we never lost at home, like in the playoffs. And it was just the memories of the road trips. Like I said, I'm going to have to get my map out, but we used to kind of pick it was me and my cousin's husband. We used to kind of pick a stadium and go, Jets fans are bad. Cleveland fans are bad. But, I'm not going to not dress in my Bills gear when I go on the road. I saw him win in Miami for the first time many years ago, and it was the best feeling walking out.
Yeah.
You're outnumbered, 10,000 to 1. Who cares? You get to walk out of the stadium with your head held high, and you just beat your rival, the Dolphins. So very fortunate with the Bills. That's one thing that unfortunately cancer's taken away this year. I always had season tickets, and I only went to 2 games. Wasn't able to go to playoff games. Too much on the body. We'll get into that a little bit more. Just I get tired being out in the cold. So for me, wanting a Super Bowl, I'm a little more antsy as I get older, and I'm in this fight. Like, let's go. Let's do this, right? They've kind of got a good blueprint. Let's see what they will do in the off season with it.
Yeah. So 4 Super Bowls, it's hard to top that, but you also have been, I imagine, to a lot of wrestling events, being a big wrestling fan.
Yeah. So my son and I, we started when he was a baby, and there's nothing better when it comes on Facebook. He was a little kid. He'd wear a mask. He was Rey Mysterio, and I was Big Show. And, that started, him and I are very close. We're very connected in different things, but wrestling is one of them. It tied it together. And we went to our first Wrestlemania. It was in New York. It was The Rock Cena 2. And to watch it through his eyes. I went to WrestleMania 18 in Toronto, Hogan Rock. And I never thought that would be top live in person. That was an unbelievable night with my buddies, just watching the Hogan and The Rock, 2 big icons. But to watch that through Nick, The Undertaker wrestled CM Punk that night, yes. And the guy behind us kept chanting CM Punk. And finally my son turned around and says, "If you don't be quiet, I'm going to punch you." per permission of my father. And he was like 6, 7 years old. Yeah. Then the guy stopped. It was so funny.
That's great.
Yeah,
he must have heard the Cowboys fan story.
He shut that guy right down. But yeah, so we went that year, and I didn't think it would turn into what it did. We've been to 5 WrestleManias. We've been to 3 Royal Rumbles. We've been to a SummerSlam. We go to every show that's up here. I actually started running shows years ago. I'm a big into softball, and I run softball tournaments. And we were running in Wadsworth, and the place, I think it was in Caledonia, was supposed to run a wrestling show, burnt down. So they asked my buddy who ran the fields, could we bring the thing here? So it was a small little show, and then I met the promoter, and we started doing headlocks and home runs, and we did it in Wadsworth the first year. We ran it in Perry a couple of years, and we took it to back to Rochester where he was from. But the last couple of years I've got connected with IWF and the Falco, his father-son combination owner. And we were in Oakfield 2 years ago, and then last summer we were here in Warsaw. And that was my goal. That was my dream. That was the cherry on top of doing all this is I got in the ring the first year, and they smacked me around a little bit, and that was fun. And then they let me be part of the show, bringing guys in, picking guys up at the airport, and then last year was having my hometown. So, obviously we won't be going to Mania this year. We went last year. And if you're a wrestling fan, the end of that match last year, night 2 was, cinema, as I like to call it, and it was the way they ended it was, and to see it through, Nick was 17 years old with his friend, and to hear the video of him going nuts, just again, seeing it through his eyes of, he wasn't 17. He was that 8-year-old kid that I took him to his first ever show.
Yeah.
So we've been fortunate, with that. Again, that's, the Royal Rumble was last week, and that's stuff that we would try to go to, and I'm limited traveling wise with being sick. But, wrestling will always be, where there's a Monday Night Raw coming here March 3rd in Buffalo that we'll be going to. But a lot of memories with him. Like we've met, he's got a binder with over 100 8x10s. That he's gotten signed personally. That's like Nick going up to the table or meeting these guys after the match to get them to sign their picture. And he's got that in his room. He knows that's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of memories with us in there for sure.
Yeah.
Because these guys, like at these conventions, Nick always wears a belt. He just walks around. He's a confident kid, even when he was younger. So these wrestlers would catch eye contact when you want to fight for that. It's just awesome to watch him go at it with the wrestlers. So that's cool to watch him interact like that with them.
And Nick's grown into a big young man.
Yeah.
I see him at the gym. What is he now? 6'1",
255. He was down. He lost some weight to wrestle. So
and he just had a tournament just recently.
Yeah, they had sections this weekend. Finished second. He faced a tough kid in the finals, but he didn't get pinned. They went to full distance. So he wrestles this weekend now in Bath at super sectionals. With a chance to go to states. He'd have to finish top 2, but there'll be some good talent there for him. But, go on, like I've told him, right? You get on the mat, you click the switch. If this is it, this is it. He's a senior. If this means it's done, it's done. But go out and enjoy it, have fun, end with a bang, as I tell him.
Sure.
So.
And he played football this year, correct?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he unfortunately got hurt on senior night, September 13th. So that kind of threw a little wrench into his senior year. He never recovered from the shoulder injury. Fully, to try and get back into play football with a shoulder injury when you're getting hit every play. Nick would get, once they realized Nick on defense, he was getting double teamed. So he was getting hit a lot. The shoulder just never recovered for him. He missed some wrestling to get it ready. So it took a little time.
Is he what's he looking to do after school here?
Yeah, he's looking, right now he's got a couple different options with going right into the workforce possibly to playing football. The Alfred U coach really likes him. He's scouted him twice. And then Alfred State is one that he's looking into. So we're kind of, we're behind him, but Cheryl and I have left it up to, we'll leave it up to him to what he decides he ultimately wants to do. Yeah, so we'll see. It's good to have the options for him.
Yeah. He's a nice young man. He's been coming in here since he's been little. I just watch him grow every year, man.
Yeah, and that's the thing. In this day and age, he was an only child. We tried to get him a brother or sister. It didn't work out. We went through the doctors and all the testing, and that's a tough thing to go through. And to have one, we tried to have a second one. We weren't. We looked into adoption. It didn't work out for us. Mm-hmm. So we knew we had Nick, and we think we've done pretty good when it comes to that only child mentality. When there's an only child, they're going to get spoiled. There's no other way. There's no one else to show affection to, you know. But that's the one thing is like with me, if I see someone at the store or one of his events or wherever, and they'll come up to me and say, I ran into Nick the other day, and he's just the politest young man. You know, I've told him since he was a little boy, I always know that someone's watching you and do the right thing. So whether it's around work, school, football, or practicing, around your friends, someone's always watching you, you know, and he's listened because he knows, like, you know, you can act like you want behind closed doors and, you know, but when you're in public, people are watching you and going to see how you react and how you know, and so to get compliments, Cheryl gets them too, you know, as a parent, it's nice, you know, so, sure. Yep.
Speaking of the public, everybody pretty much knows within the community that you've had a rough few years here. And do you want to share with us a little bit of what's going on,
so,
where you're at, what your journey's been?
April 20th of 2023, you know, thought it was a normal day, went to work. Loved my job as the regional manager at New York Chips. My boss, on the other hand, was very mean. His name is Chad.
New York Chips.
Yeah.
Wait, say that again. I feel like that got talked over. What's his name?
Oh, yeah. So my boss's name is Chad Heave. He's very mean to me. He would flip me off every morning. I always got one finger. If I got two, his excuse was that he wanted me to have a really good day. So Chad and I have had a very good relationship. I've known Chad. The funny story about that was I hired him as a 16-year-old kid at McDonald's when I was a manager years ago, and he returned the favor and hired me in October of 2017 to come on and help him at New York Chips, and my role and my title grew with that, and I really enjoyed the job. I miss it. I really do. Him and I talk. He checks in me quite a bit. But so April 20th, 2023, I go into his office, dealing with a little stomach pain that day. And leading up to that, you know, we'll say just the month of March, maybe the end of February, I started dealing with, you know, some constipation, maybe some blood in the stool. Didn't think much of it. You know, I'm a little stubborn. But that day, the pain got so bad that I had to go to the emergency room, and I went to Batavia. And so they did all these tests on me, came in, and they said, we don't put a lot of stock into our CTs scans, but yours, something's jumping off our screen. There's a mass sitting in there. So, you know, not too often I'm speechless. And I went out to my car and just sat there reading the piece of paper of how big it was and Googled it. And at that time, it was about as big as a plum. And so called Cheryl, Cheryl is my ex-wife, called Cheryl. And that started this terrible journey. Cancer sucks, plain and simple. I don't wish it upon anybody out there fighting. God bless you. Please continue to fight daily. I know it's a terrible thing because more people, I guess with me, like coming on here, I appreciate this time on here and doing my videos. I document my journey on TikTok and Facebook, but people don't know what we go through behind the scenes. And you know, so from April to June, it took me a while. I had to get approved into Roswell. I'm sorry, not Roswell, but U of R, the Wilmot Cancer Center. So by the time I did colonoscopies, liver biopsy, blood work, CT scans, you know, all that stuff, they put a port in me. I met with this doctor on June 3rd. Just went in, thought it was going to be just to meet this guy, and basically my life got turned upside down because he told me, James, if the liver, I had 6 spots in my liver. If any of them came back positive, they would be cancer. And then, you know, the CT scans was showing it wasn't good. He wanted to wait on the colonoscopy. So June 28th, I went in with my friend Matt Hare and Cheryl and diagnosed with stage 4 colon, liver cancer, and it was in my lymph nodes. I've gained 2 more spots on my liver in the last 6 months. So I have a total of 8 spots on my liver. I have the big mass in my colon, and I have 3 spots in my lymph nodes. So I have 12 total in my body. So this guy was up front with me from the beginning. He said, we're going to manage this. We're going to stay ahead of the cancer. We're going to get aggressive. And we did. And we came out in July of 23, July, August, September, October, came out, and my body had a reaction in October that shut us down for a little bit. right in the chair. My hands got real feeling weird, started sweating, my eyes got bloodshot, and my blood pressure crashed all the way to 70 over 40. And so that was scary. I was off chemo for a little bit, and then since then, I go every 2 weeks. I've now been going every 3 weeks the last, say, couple months, but I've had problems with my platelets that canceled chemo. I had a blood clot in my leg, 2 of them actually that canceled it. I broke out in a hive. Last week I came up with a sore throat. They thought it was strep, so I was supposed to have chemo, which is pushed to this week, and now I'm dealing with just, personal, the hemorrhoids is just brutal. I've never had them like this, and the stomach pain's back, and it's just want a normal day. That's it. Normal couple days. My son had sectional Saturday, and if he wasn't wrestling, there's no way I'd have left my house Saturday, but knowing it could have been his last match. But they did a couple fundraisers for me. Softball one in Oakfield, and they did the kickball one in Warsaw back in September 23. And that was humbling because I was always the one on the other side, always raising money and helping people out. And then it was me, and all these people showed up, and it was a very emotional day, but it was just a day I kind of needed, knowing, I've got quite a few people, beside me in this fight, and that's what it is. It's a fight. I mean, I'm to the point now, I've come to the realization that I can't control anymore. It's in God's hands. I can't control what goes in my body. Right now, something's going on in my body because I've been in pain the last 48 hours. And I have pain meds that I take, and when they can't control the pain, something's going on, So it's like, all right, let's, get done with this, go take a nap or lay down, relax, just chill out, let me be. That's the thing is, for some reason, something's mad, whether it's the cancer or there's other parts that go into this, but, you got to have the mentality. I lost a very good friend in November, Jeff Drano, and he lost his battle to cancer, and he used to call me, and it was always day by day, Cummy, day by day, we're going to get through this. And I miss him terribly. I miss his calls because he picked me up. It was like, he'd be having a bad day, or his scans were bad, or his, my number, it's called CEA, and that dictates the higher the number, the more that your cancer is moving or growing. And his was PSA, so he was having trouble with his number. Then his settled down. Then I was having trouble with mine, but we were there for each other, and and then you lose them, and that's a tough one. Locally in the community, we've had 4 people pass of cancer. It's tough when you have it, and there's a lot of people out there that wish to stay private with it. It's fine. You're going to fight every day. I mean, I take Drino's advice. Day by day, stay with the positive attitude. It's really not in my control. My doctors, I love them. I feel like I'm in great hands with them. They have ideas already set. So I get scanned on March 11th. If those scans come back, we're not happy with. They've already got plans in place to go after it a different way if we need to.
So you've been happy with the care that they've been giving you?
Yes. Yep. Over in Batavia, the Wilmot Cancer Center, the nurses and the doctors over there have been. And the nurses love James when James comes because it's not an ordinary chemo.
You've been an encouragement to a lot of people.
Yeah, I've had process. A guy over there, right off the bat, one of the first times I went, nurse came up to me, and she's like, "Hey, James, before you leave, can you pop your head into room 2? Jerry wants to," or no, I guess she didn't say who it was. So it was an older gentleman. I go, "Yeah, I can help you." He's like, "I just want to thank you." She's like, "My name's Jerry. I just want to thank you, James." I said, "Thank me for what?" He goes, "Well, I kind of given up. I kind of just have had enough of this, and I don't want to fight much anymore, and I'm old, and I'm tired." And he's like, and I told my wife to stay home today. And then I hear you come in, and I hear you in the next room over saying that cancer messed with the wrong dude. Cancer is not going to defeat you. You're going to beat this. You got a lot of time to spend with your son, and you're going to help other people. And and he's like, I just want to thank you for being that positive outlook, because he's like, I'll never. Because I said when I was talking to my nurse about when you reach out to people with cancer. It's never a bad time. Maybe they don't respond to you. I do that now. I don't respond to some people sometimes, but we appreciate when you reach out. A call, a phone, a visit. Some people make me dinner, but also you reach out to the families, like for Nick, for Cheryl. We're not together, but she's involved in this. They have the rough days too, especially Nick. He sees his dad going through this, like I was always, let's go, joking around. And, I don't have the energy but I took that with Jerry. I've had a couple of ladies over there, and when James shows up, they know, they hate when I'm not feeling good because my energy is very low, but they love when James shows up. It's going to be a fun. I have a different thing with each nurse of why we've had an issue, and it's fun messing with them. Keeps it interesting. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. From everything I know about you, you've stayed very positive, and that's not always the case. Like the story with Jerry is probably, that's a good example of a lot of people's cancer experience is like overwhelmed and tired. And so I guess just simply.
I'm overwhelmed right now, I'll be honest.
Okay, yeah.
It's been a rough, couple months with this new medicine, and it was, the side effect was diarrhea. So you go through, and you go through your days of your rundown. So it's, I get nauseous, I get sick. You just don't have energy. You got poison being pumped into you. Then you start feeling a bit better. Then the diarrhea came, and we didn't know how bad it was going to be. It was different with everybody. So those first couple of times was bad, but we had a plan in place, and now it's just, so you're 3-4 days of recovering at first. Then you roll into the next 3 or 4 or 5 days of the diarrhea, and then your body takes a toll. You get dehydrated. You're exhausted. With me, the pain it's come back within the last week. It's come back more than it should, and I don't know why. I don't know if that means it's moving, growing, pissed off. I don't know, but something's going on inside. That's for sure. Because usually, you just want to once I get comfortable. I don't want noise. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't even turn my TV on. Just lay there like, oh, this is nice. Okay, we're on an agreement here. This is nice. Let me rest for a couple hours. But I don't show it too often. I get a lot of people that come up to me and say what a positive light I am. My attitude, I've got strangers that when I do a video and they're like, your attitude is phenomenal. Like they have someone going through cancer, and it's just so devastating for them. I'm like, yeah, we can have those bad days, and I do, but this is what I got, and like when I was speaking to my counselor, he left me with a piece of advice saying, I worked for New York Chips. I could have been hit by a vehicle. I'm a bigger guy. I could have a heart attack, and you don't get to say goodbye to your loved ones. If this is my calling, and years down the road, if this is what takes me out, I get to go out on my terms. I get to, do some things I might have never done. You get to say goodbye to your loved ones. As tough as it sucks, as tough as it is to watch someone go through it. I've watched, my 2 good friends at the end here lately. My dad went through it. You change into someone that you're not, and that's the tough part for your loved ones is they see someone. You just get to the point you're just kind of like can't do much, But as long as I can do something, I'm going to do it. Right now I'm honestly, if it's nice out, I get my car, I take a drive, I'll go to McDonald's and get a drink. And just put the window down and cruise around for a little bit. That's really it. Nick's. I always go to his sporting events, but he's almost done. But it's a tough thing, And at first, I wasn't gonna be open about my fight, but then I had good friends tell me you need to because you're gonna help somebody. My nurse, one of the first few times after going to chemo and stuff, she sat me down and she said, Can I word this in a way that I don't want to mean any disrespect to you? But I don't know why God picks who he does for getting cancer. I have because he doesn't care. But you were picked for a reason. She goes, and I don't mean that in any way of you having to go through this. She goes, but I can just feel in my bones that you can handle this, that you can handle what's going to be thrown at you because you're going to get some terrible stuff thrown at you. But she's like, just knowing you for I think this was maybe a month in, 3 weeks in, just knowing your positive attitude, it's amazing when you come in here. You're coming into a chemo infusion place, and you're coming in here, dressing up in different colors, mismatching and being smart. The one day I wore all blue and they call me Blueberry Boy, and I just get in the chair. Let's do this. Come on, let's go. And that's how I've been. I've always been a positive person, even when bad things happen in life. You know, you lose your job. You have a death in your family. Something doesn't go your way. You can have a pity party and you can just give up, or you can fight. I mean, goes back to Jimmy V's cancer thing. You know, if I get down, I'll go watch that. I'll watch Dickie V's. I'll watch them all because they're all inspirational. Jim Kelly had a phrase, you know, like, and my thing is you check in on people. If you know somebody going through it, just check in on them. You know, my thing is I love my friends. I'll find old pictures or videos. They'll find pictures or videos and send it to me. You know, Harv and Monica Jett have been a wonder in all of this. Matt and Jamie Hare have been a wonder in all this. Matt and Harvey will just send me a silly meme or an old picture of us together. Their families have been great. They always check on me. They invite me to their house. You know, I watch their daughter, Riley. She goes to Notre Dame, the Hare's daughter. So I watch her play basketball, get me out of the house. Sophia plays soccer and hockey, and Landon plays – Sophia plays soccer and basketball. Landon plays hockey. So they're always asking me to get out of the house just to go watch them, you know, because Nick will wind down this weekend. But it's good to have, you know, them, but it's also good. I have people that just randomly call, stop in, you know, to visit me, to check in on me.
And that's important going through this.
It is. Yeah. I tell people, like, it's, you know, and if I don't respond to you, I'm not ignoring you. I've had a friend that he just couldn't connect. We connected last night finally. And I told him, I said, I promise you I wasn't ignoring you. You know, when I have a day, it's funny because like today, right? Dealing with a little bit of pain. So when the pain's going on, I don't want to talk to anybody. But then when the pain goes away, I don't want to talk to anybody because now I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
You know? So today's kind of one of those days I just, you know, stay at my house and chill out. And
we appreciate
get to be on the podcast.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you.
You know, this is a big deal. I'm on the Vertical podcast.
Yeah. Well, we're grateful that you're here.
And that's it. You know, it's funny to say grateful. I look back. You know, we talked about my Super Bowls, the wrestling big shows about with my son. You know, I've been to a Final Four, which I got to tell that story real quick in a minute. It's a classic. So I've been to a Final Four. You know, growing up, my grandpa was a big Red Sox fan. He was friends with Ted Williams. He parked cars in Winter Haven, Florida, and I went down for him for 5 years in March in spring training. And so I started in 1985. In 1986, I go down, and you know, just like the year before, we parked the cars. We sit on metal chairs, and Gramps had his own parking spot, and then he had his tickets right by the Red Sox bench. So before we went in, he's like, "Hey, before we go in, I got to go see Coach McNamara. He was the manager of the Red Sox." Okay. So we go in the clubhouse, and I'm like, "Whoa, like it's all the players." I'm like, "It's the 1986 Red Sox." Like, I mean, I'm a huge Jim Rice fan. I wear 14. I batted fourth. I play left field in Little League because of him. He's standing there. There's Dwight Evans. There's Fred Lynn. There's all these guys on that team, and I'm like, "Oh my goodness!" So I'm looking around. All of a sudden, I get a tap on my shoulder, and it's Jim Rice, and he says, "What are you doing here, son?" "Oh, I'm here with my grandpa." And I turn to my left. My grandpa's long gone. So now I'm like, you know, what am I, 13 or 14 years old? And he's like, security. Call security over. So now I'm about ready to pee myself. I'm really like, where the hell's my grandfather? And he's like, yeah, get this kid out of here. He goes, you can't be in here, kid. So then all of a sudden I hear a knock on the window. I look over, and Mr. McNamara and my grandpa are in the office. And they come out, and they're like, oh, we're just pranking. And Mr. McNamara hands me a jersey, and he's like, here, you're the bat boy today. I'm like, what? So got to be the bat boy. Sat on the bench with all those players, some of my favorite players. They're messing with me. They're telling me to go get the bat when it wasn't our turn to bat. So they would grab me not to run in the field. And I got personalized bats signed Jim Rice. I got a team ball signed, and Jim Rice signed me one that said, to Jamie, future Red Sox, your buddy Jim Rice. And you know, 1986, they go to the World Series that year against the Mets. I'm on the phone with my grandpa, and they have the famous Bill Buckner. And I was like, oh, my goodness. I thought they lined up, you know, me to be bat boy, you know, spend the spring with my grandpa, and then to win the World Series. And it didn't happen. So I went down 87 and went down in 88. And in 88, we were getting ready to pack up, and a bus pulls in, and Tommy Lasorda opens the window from the Dodgers and says, hey, who do I talk to about a bat boy? Our bat boy got sick in Vero Beach. And my grandpa's like, he can do it. So a half hour later, here I am standing in the Dodgers 1988 team being their bat boy. And the funny part about the stories is in 86, Red Sox went to the series and lost. 88, the Dodgers went to the World Series and won. So both years I was the bat boy, the teams went to the World Series.
That's amazing.
And it was, back then, I didn't know what was coming with my life. I just thought, wow, this is it. I just was a bad boy for 2 major league teams. I got this personal merchandise, which unfortunately I ended up losing to a house fire in '90. And what was kind of cool was my mom reached out to the Dodgers organization, explained what happened, and I got a package from Cincinnati, Ohio one day. And this would have been, our house burned in April of '90, so this was probably, was it '91? Was it the year after? No, I think it was that. Yeah, because the season goes what? Till, yeah, it was this summer into the fall. I get the package from Cincy, open it up, and it's a signed ball from that team, and a signed ball from Tommy Lasorda, which I still have.
Oh, wow.
She had wrote a letter. Then we met Tommy in Buffalo at a convention, and then I bought a Jim Rice ball to replace it. I had my grandpa was good friends with Ted Williams, so I had a couple of Ted Williams balls that I lost. I've recouped those by getting them, but and I just thought, well, that's pretty cool. And to go on and with the Bills, the people I've met, highlight films. I've been on TV, I've been in the newspaper, I've been interviewed, I've been to road games, at home games, and then with wrestling with Nick and I. But this Final Four thing, I got a huge, my friend Dusty Redding, he's a huge Villanova fan. So I'm working at McDonald's in Geneseo years ago, and I count money from 4 to 5 when my phone rings, and it's Dusty. He goes, hey, any chance you can go to the Final Four this weekend? And I think the teams was Michigan State, UConn, North Carolina, and Villanova. I'm like, yeah, I'm in. Tell me details. So he runs them by me and said, let me call Cheryl and check in. So all clear. I pick him up in Oakfield. We get over the bridge into Canada because it was in Detroit, so it's quicker to go that way. So as soon as we get over, now he's like, yeah, we're all set with hotel and tickets. You drive. We'll just get some gas money. We're all set. Okay. So as soon as we get over the border, I don't know how you guys are, but anytime I go over the border, I just get tensed up. I don't know why. I've done nothing wrong in my life, but that's how I am. So I get over the border. We start cruising. All of a sudden, he picks up his phone. And all of a sudden, I hear, hi, yes, do you have any rooms available? Do you have any rooms available? You told me we have a room. So they put him on hold. So I won't say what I said to him in the car because I can't. But I looked at him and I said, rooms available? We don't have rooms? I might have fibbed on that because I knew I probably couldn't get you to go. Oh, okay. So somehow, some way, he finds a room. This is now Friday night at probably 10, 11 o'clock. He found a room in Detroit. So we get into Detroit. We check into the hotel. We have breakfast the next day. And then what they do is they have an area for each team to go tailgate. So all the alumni come in. So we went to the Villanova one. And anybody that went to Villanova, so Kerry Kittle's an NBA player, Brian Finneran and Brian Westbrook are football players. They were there, all the alumni. And I'm drinking, and my buddy told me, he's like, you're a 91 grad. This is the big pizzeria. This is the bar. Of course, people did come up and ask me. So thank God he told me. So then Brian Westbrook, who was good at fantasy football, I said to my buddy, watch this. Had a few drinks with me. And I had money on my thing because I knew I just need money for the weekend. So I go over to him. I'm like, hey, Brian, real quick. And you could tell he had that kind of snotty. He was with his girlfriend. I don't mean to bug you, and I'll walk with you. I said, but here. And I reach in my pocket and I hand out a wad of money. I said, here's this. He goes, what's that for? I said, well, that's from me to you for helping me win my fantasy football league last year. I appreciate it. Got it. So exactly his reaction was that. Right? He starts laughing. And the girl says, Brian, that was pretty good. At least take a picture with him.
Yeah.
So I said, do you mind if I just get my friend real quick? Yeah. So I run, Dusty, get out here. Brian Westbrook's out. He's going to take a picture. He comes out. Dusty's got 2 vodka and Red Bulls in his hands. He's like, where's Brian Westbrook? He's not out here. He's standing right there like, don't mind my friend. So we get ready to go in. We don't have tickets. He never had tickets for the game. I said, you son of a...
Yeah. Oh, my God.
You got me on both. He's like, I just knew I couldn't get you. We'll scalp him.
He got you.
So we start walking in. So then he goes, we need 1 ticket. What are you doing? Watch this. You say 1, they always got 2. Okay. So the one guy goes to hand him 1 ticket. I'm like, I'll handle this. So I start walking. I'm like, 2 tickets, please. We need 2. So, whatever. I find the guy. The first game had started. And I'm like, by the time we get in there, sir, it's going to be past halftime. I'm not going to pay you for that game. I'll pay you $75. I'm not giving you $150 for both of them. I'm not doing it. So I gave him $75 for each, and away we went. And then we didn't realize that they didn't serve alcohol because it's a college event, even though it's the Final Four. It was in a college thing. They wouldn't serve alcohol. I wish they would have told me that.
Just add it to the list.
Yeah, right.
I had a nice buzz going on. They just sat there.
You got screwed the whole way, man.
Yeah.
But you got to meet Brian Westbrook.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, Magic Johnson was a big Michigan guy, so he was down there. So we sat
Michigan State.
Michigan State. Sorry, yeah. So our seats were in the Michigan State area. So once they cleared out for the Villanova game was the late game, and that was. That was. I remember
all these stories, Jamie. It seems like you just walk into them.
Yeah, it's
like they happen for you. Like you're meant to be in these places.
What's the saying? Right time.
Yeah.
Right place.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've definitely lived a fulfilled life. It sounds like you got a lot of stories to share.
Yeah. Like I said, and Chad again, my boss. He checks in on me, calls me. He gets nervous if he'll call me 2 or 3 times and I don't answer. So there'll be times he'll just open the door and see me lay in bed, give me the bird, leave.
Some things don't change.
No, and I want him to. Him
That's
and I.
his love language.
We would go back and forth on Facebook. When it was just about he would say, I work part time, or it's Wednesday, so I was seeing James, and then I would joke back and be like, oh yeah, yesterday I found a new casino, and Monday I was out looking for new places to buy lunch. Oh, did you sell any chips? Oh, that's today. Yeah. That's on the work for Wednesday. Is that okay, pal? But no, and I appreciate I'm basically born and raised in Warsaw. I've lived here pretty much my whole life. I moved to Virginia for a little bit, and we lived in Texas for a little bit. But I'm back here now. Cheryl's here, Nick's here, my brother and sister here, my mom is here. So this community is just overwhelming. Every time I do the video, they're like, I know we don't reach out or talk to you often, but the prayers are very strong. And I appreciate that. And I tell people, if you don't believe in prayers, then just send me positive vibes, or send whoever positive vibes. Mm-hmm. Not everybody believes in the prayer thing. That's fine. But send positive vibes to all cancer patients. Greg Myers is recently diagnosed. I've met him and his family, and he's got a fight at him too. And they all do. There's no one. I mean, when I was going through my thing, I got to the point where I was doing so Thursday will be my 34th chemo since July 7th of 2023. And so when I got to the 20th one, started having a little breakdown, I can't do this. I can't keep doing this. And so my doctor had me, when I ran into somebody who had cancer, ask them what their chemo schedule was. And I did. And I found out some people have 6 sessions. Some people have 12 and they're done every 2 weeks. Unfortunately, we hate to use the word indefinitely, but I'm on chemo till further notice. This is the way they're going to treat that. They have other medicines lined up. They have radiation to the liver lined up. So we gain 2 spots. If we gain 2 more spots in March, we might go radiation right to the liver, which is going to kick the crap out of my body. But it's 5 straight days and then off 15 days or something like that. He told me he'd have to revisit it, but.
And do you have a scan coming up at all? Do you have
March 11th. Yeah, so chemo's Thursday, as long as I have it. So what's the date right now?
It's February 10th.
10th? So that's so it's the 13th because Friday's Valentine's Day. So yeah, I'll have chemo the 13th, and then I should have one more session, and then I'll scan. And then we'll, so that'll be.
You got a date for the 14th?
What's that?
Do you have a date? You got a date?
No.
Anybody taking you out?
No.
Any single ladies out there? We got a bachelor here.
Yeah, any single ladies who want to date a guy with stage 4 cancer, sign up. I'm right here.
He's got great stories.
It's and that's the thing is, it's with my friends when we get together. When I first got diagnosed, they all came to my house for the 4th of July, and we sat there and just, it was high school friends just talking about, man, the stuff we did in high school. Back in the day, we had a Monte Carlo, and we just cranked the tunes up and cranked town. The salvos used to be open down the street, so during the winter time we'd go there for slices after the basketball game or volleyball game. We'd go support our team, wrestling, football games. We'd always dances. We'd always end up at the, we'd see all the drunk people we didn't realize at the time that would be us down the road, but you just went to get a slice with your friends at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, and drank Loganberry, and but he's important, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's a busy man.
But yeah, I'm fortunate. I'm, and I want to let anybody out there that's watching this or hear this, you can reach out to me. you can just send me a message on Facebook under James Cummins. Rod's gonna be doing something on Vertical, sharing my GoFundMe. You can find my page that way and reach out to me. But please reach out to me. I am more than welcome, more than willing to sit down with you or a family member and talk to anybody out there that's just starting this process. Because I know, I just had someone reach out to me, and I can't remember if it was his dad or stepdad. And he's like, I hate to bother you because I know you're going through a lot. I'm like, no, you don't say that. Mm-hmm. Don't say that. You're not bothering me. And he's like, I'm freaked out. I don't know what to do. I said, what you do is you take the first 48 hours and you go through every single emotion. You're going to be sad. You're going to be mad. You're going to be pissed. You're going to be angry. You're going to ask yourself why. Get it all out, right? Get it all out because you have that right. And then once the official tests come back and you get the official news, then you're there to support him in a positive way. Maybe you're one of those ones and get the family to come together and do stuff together and not take it. Do we all take stuff for granted in life? Sure, we all did, right? And so, I took stuff for granted that I don't anymore. I just want to get healthy enough to travel with my kid one last time. Mm-hmm. We have Metallica coming up April 19th, and that's in my prayers. Like, just let me be healthy enough to drive to Syracuse. If we don't, we went to Boston last year. I've seen Metallica 16 times, so that'll be seeing them 17 times. Talk about stories. If I'm ever back on, I'll tell you about just Metallica. I've seen almost every hair band. You can name a hair band, I've seen them. So when my father passed away in July of 2017, Cheryl, God bless her, had coordinated with all my friends to come to her house. And so, we get there and I start having some beers. My cousin came up. We put it on Hair Nation Radio. And we're like, you know what? We're going to drink every band that we've seen at concert. We're going to drink twice for every band we've seen together. That wasn't a good idea. Talk about the empty beer cans. And the thing is, I tell people this. When you lose someone like that, I lost my dad, I wasn't the one just to sit down and drink like that. I just sat there drinking that night. It never fazed me. I guess I got a buzz. Yep, I probably was a little drunk. But I woke up the day, no hangover. It was like a different hurt that I was drinking about. And we sat there that night, and and my cousin Bill calls me, and we talk about the good old days. And it's usually a concert. See, so back then, they kind of try to do now, but these bands all used to tour together. So if you went to Darien Lake, you were going to see Poison, Def Leppard.
Yeah, let me throw some out. Rat.
Yep.
Scorpions.
Yep.
AC/DC.
Numerous times.
You've seen those.
Oh, yeah. Scorpions I've only seen twice. Rat I've seen 4 times just all recently.
Cinderella.
Just saw Cinderella last summer. My buddy and I, Shane Sump, he's my concert goer. We just saw them. His name, the lead singer's name is Tom Kiefer. We saw him in Salamanca. What a show.
Motley Crue.
One of my tops. So so basically Metallica's 17, Poison I want to say is 12, and Def Leppard is 11, and Motley Crue's 10. They're all together. But we just saw Motley Crue toured with Def Leppard and Poison, outdoor stadium. Yeah,
How was it?
I don't think you'll jinx me. I don't think you'll find one. Queensryche, we just saw them.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just one of those things.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate my cousin and his friend Flo, they had all the CDs. They had the satellite dish. We could watch Headbangers Ball.
Oh, yes.
You'd get a cassette tape of a band, and you just put it in your cassette player, and you played the whole thing, so you knew every song.
Yeah.
You know?
Nothing compares to 80s music. You wouldn't understand
I
this,
don't.
But man,
Yeah, I'm
Nothing
lost.
compares.
What a great era.
I sit on TikTok.
Quiet Riot.
Okay, you want to hear I got a Quiet Riot story. We got time?
Yeah,
sure.
This is a
Let's
doozy.
do it. So I used to run the men's league in Morsa. So the Pines used to bring in bands, so they brought in Don Henley, Eddie and the Cruisers,
Okay.
Winger, Warrant, Quiet Riot. So the first night, Quiet Riot comes in on a Thursday night. So we're all playing softball. We head over. And there was 8 or 9 of us. We get right up front to the stage. Kevin DeBrow was the lead singer. He was still alive. They come out, played 6, 7, 8 songs. Me and my buddies stood up there the whole time. We knew every word of every song. So at the end, when he played Mental Health, before he said, Kevin looked at us and said, "You have sang every word of every song tonight." He goes, "It's not often we go to bars anymore like this and see that." So they leave. They come back like a year and a half later. we go, and he's right off the bat. He starts the first song. He's like, "They're back." So same thing. We sing every song. So as we're leaving that night, we hear, "Hey, whistle." So it's Kevin. He's like, "Come on, come here." So we're standing outside. He brings us up on his tour bus. And there's the smell of weed, which isn't my thing, but had a drink with him. We didn't have pictures because we didn't have cameras back then.
Mm-hmm.
He signed our shirts, and he's like, "Man, you fans." He's like, "You do that all the time?" Or like, "Well, we don't have bands like that, but when we go, like Metallica back then, a lot of times when we'd go, it'd be general admission. So you'd have the railing mark on your stomach the next day. You'd be up there rocking for 2 hours. Metallica used to just have a small band open, and then they came at you for 2.5 hours. So you better be ready because Metallica was going to bring it.
That's amazing.
But that's another thing that the concerts and the memories I have.
Jamie, when you do something, you do it. It sounds like you're just all in. You are the life of the party. You walk in and they go, "It's on."
It's on. Cummins here. We know it's going to be a good time. Like Poison sings, nothing but a good time. I'll be honest. I went to go see Bret Michaels last year by myself up at Del Lago. I rented a hotel room, bought a ticket, and went up, and Bret put on a heck of a show.
Wow.
And I just did a little gambling afterwards and stayed at the hotel, but I did that myself. And, who else did Shane and I see last year? There was another band because we went to see, it was Winger. It was Lita Ford, Winger, and Cinderella, Tom Kiefer. And then we went to another one, and it was Slaughter, Queensryche.
Oh, my goodness.
Kicks.
Any is it ringing a bell?
Not like the deep cuts, but the ones that like transcendent ones. AC/DC, I got Metallica, obviously.
Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, sure.
Guns N' Roses, yes.
Yeah,
Great.
Yeah, we went to that stadium tour.
Also, I knew that Poison song because that's like that's famous, but I don't know the full cassette tape, so to speak.
Yeah, I know it all.
I don't know what.
Did you have the mullet? Did you have the mullet back in the day?
I did.
You did.
There's a shirt out there that has it's like a collared shirt, button shirt. I mean, that has all the names of the 80 bands, and I got to buy it because the one night I was with my friend, and I'm like, I think I've seen most of those.
Yeah,
bands.
you got to buy it with a red Sharpie, just like cross off each one.
I'm like, I don't mind me. I'm just trying to find a band I haven't seen before. and it's funny because their band. It's the night that we were drinking my cousin. It was what was the name of the band? And it came on. He's like, I've never heard of this band. I've never even seen this band. It was like we knew the song.
Yeah,
it's like a one song, but. I'm like, wow, they got us. So,
that's
well, fantastic. I want to close out with this. Just a couple questions. One, what is it that you want to be remembered for? If there's something that you want people to remember Jamie Cummins for, what is it?
Honestly, it's very simple. That I always put other people before myself, helping people out in any way I could. Like I said, recently, I've had more people stepping up. Because this financial burden is tough, by myself. But I don't understand the process of someone going through this, of how they come up with how I get approved for so much money for, Social Security and for food stamps. And I don't know. I had a lot of nights I don't get it. I've met with them and talked with them. But my grandpa as a little boy told me, treat people how you want to be treated, right? Treat people with respect. And you're going to weed out the good and bad. If they aren't going to treat you back with respect, that there's really something you want in your life. But that's how I've always been. Whenever somebody's gotten sick, I give the time for the family to kind of figure everything out, and then I call them, hey, let's do something. Let's do a softball tournament, kickball tournament, cash raffle, Super Bowl squares.
And I'm sure it's hard for you to receive. You've been giving all these years.
It was very hard at the Oakfield one, and it was very hard in Warsaw because of the turnout. I sat at my friend's harmonica's that night, and we were counting the money, and I just broke down in tears. This has made me a lot. I've never been like, you're emotional about certain things in life. You can't hide that. And it's not that I was hiding it. I was never emotional unless it was something important. And now the littlest things will tear me up, especially, with my kid.
Sure.
So.
Last thing is what is your greatest need right now for those listening, for those watching, for us?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, once in a while, like, so when I have chemo, people were making me dinners, and it's simple as homemade chicken noodle soup, goulash, some spaghetti, something simple we can warm up. Mainly for Nick. I don't eat a ton chemo-wise, but it's nice to have some at the house. Financially, my friend, his son did a thing for the Royal Rumble. He, all by himself, he got a hold of me. He wanted to do a fundraiser to raise me some money. So then Nick picked up on that, and we ran a Super Bowl square for me also. So, financially, like if you've already talked about, sharing the GoFundMe and the vertical thing, the vertical page, that's huge. If there's someone out there that would like to do something, let me know. I know my friends are talking about doing a golf tournament in May for me, because I don't want to, there's days I don't like to overthink it, but it's just, I worked my whole life. I was raised on a farm, and that was taken from me. Cancer's taken me to be able to go to work, to earn money. I'm kind of just, okay, this is what you get. Oh, great, thanks. Okay, but I don't dwell on it anymore. It is what it is. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you so much for taking the time out today, and I know you've had a rough 48 hours and a rough week, but thanks for sitting through this.
No, this is what I needed. I'm honored that I was asked to do it. I'm honored I'm the first one. I hope that this gets out. And like I said, we joked and we talked about my stories, but at the end of the day, I really want people to know, if you're going through this, reach out to me, reach out to someone else. You want to keep it private, we'll keep it private. But if you're having a bad day, I've probably had it. I'm probably going through it. So I'm here for anybody out there, like I said, to reach out to me.
They can find you on Facebook. They can find you on TikTok.
Or if you know me through a mutual friend, you can get my number through them. I don't want to get my number on here, but you get a hold of me, reach out to me, and I definitely will meet up with you or talk with you.
Do you want to just say your TikTok handle?
Yes, TikTok is JRC1426. So between TikTok and Facebook is where the videos go. I don't do a ton with Instagram. Those are the two that I do the videos. Well, and just continue prayers and support. The community has been fantastic. There's a lot of sick people in this community right now. Cancer-wise, yes, and other reasons that they're battling. And this community comes together every single time when it's somebody doing a fundraiser. The Myers family just found that out a couple weeks ago. They had just a phenomenal turnout for them, which was great.
Good.
So.
Well, God bless you, Jamie.
Thank you.
We will be praying for you.
Appreciate it.
I'm sure a lot of people out there will be as well. So thanks. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.